In the previous video, I showed you some very interesting and important results, in fact, regarding the level of protection provided by the vaccines with and without prior infection. And if you have not seen this video, I really encourage you to go and have a look. I will put a link in the description below, and also I will put a link right here at the top of the screen. If you look at the top now, you will see this link. You can click on it and it will bring you to the video. To summarize very quickly, this paper showed that prior infections significantly boost the immunity and the immune response to COVID infections. And this is also true if you have been vaccinated. Now, this new paper from the same Oxford group, just published a couple of weeks ago, the authors asked the question, what is the level of protection if you have been infected and you have received one dose of the vaccine compared to someone who has not been infected and received 2 doses of the vaccine? And they look at 3 different vaccines, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Moderna. So very interesting study. It is a relatively large cohort with over 100,000 participants. And here again, they look at the anti-spike IgG antibody levels in all of these participants. And they estimate the duration of the protection as a function of these levels that they measured. Thanks a lot again for your interest and for watching these videos. If you liked it, click on the like button. Subscribe to the channel to be informed when new videos are coming out. I will be posting many more videos on this topic and other topics as well. And don't forget to also visit the StandbridgeScientific.com website, where you can find a lot more very useful information on COVID-19, the vaccines, vitamin D, and a lot of other topics. So let's have a look at some of the results here. You can see a comparison between prior infection and no infection. So the prior infection here is in blue, and in red you see 1 dose of the vaccine without any prior infection. As you can see, the antibody levels are really significantly different. Okay, much higher if you have been previously infected in blue here. This is for AstraZeneca, but the same goes for Pfizer. As you can see, the blue line is much higher than the red line here, and also for Moderna. First important result. Now the yellow line here is 2 doses with no prior infection. As you can see, with AstraZeneca, the level is actually lower than if you've had only 1 dose and prior infection. For Pfizer, however, if you have had 2 doses of the Pfizer, then your level of antibodies is much higher to start with, and it decreases quite significantly as a function of time from the second vaccination in number of days here, as you can see. So roughly after 2.5 months, you reach this value here, 450, which is becoming very close to the antibody level you have with 1 dose of the vaccine and prior infection. In this graph, you can see the time it takes to decrease your antibody levels from the first vaccination to a threshold value, which is 23 AU binding antibody units per milliliter, which is considered as a threshold for positivity. So you can see in this very interesting data for the AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Moderna without prior infection. Okay, so someone who has not been infected got 1 dose of the vaccine. It takes roughly 200 days to reach this threshold level. 200 days here. Okay, you can see this data, and the different colors are male, female, white male and female, non-white male and female. And you also have a breakdown by age groups, 40, 60, 80 years old. So you can see data is pretty consistent here. For AstraZeneca, it's roughly the same, around 200 days. For Pfizer, the data is very consistent too, and it's roughly the same, okay? A bit less maybe than 200, but roughly the same. Moderna, there is a lot more scatter, as you can see. Interesting, I'm not sure the reason why, but there is a lot more scatter, and values seem to be generally a bit higher, between 200 and 300 days. They can even be higher than that, 400 days or so. And it seems to vary quite a bit by different groups, especially ethnicity groups. Okay, so it seems to be lower for white people, and it seems to be a bit higher for non-white. Now let's have a look at the same data but with a prior infection. The first thing you notice is that all the values are much higher. Days from first vaccination to 23 BAU per milliliter. If you look at the scale has changed. We are now at around 400 for the AstraZeneca, and all age groups are very similar. The Pfizer, as you can see, we are already quite a bit higher, somewhere around 700 to 800. And there is quite a bit of difference as a function of age. As you can see, the time it takes to reach this threshold increases with age, quite significantly actually. So there is much longer protection for older people. And there is also a lot of scatter. I'm not exactly sure why, but it seems that people don't react exactly the same way to the same treatment here. For Moderna, as you can see, the values are also much higher than without infection, but they are somehow lower than for the Pfizer. So the main message here is that prior infection significantly boosts your immune system and the duration of the protection after the first vaccination. The authors wrote in their paper, with prior infection for the 20-year-old group, following one vaccination, the estimated median durations were 340 to 440 days for AstraZeneca, over 680 days for Pfizer, and between 300 and 900 days for Moderna. Okay, so that really sums up what I just showed you. There's a lot of scatter for some reason for the Moderna, and a lot less for AstraZeneca and Pfizer in somewhere in the middle. Now they also wrote that older participants had longer durations of seropositivities than younger participants following one dose of any of the three vaccines. An important finding in this paper is that for people with prior infection, 2 vaccinations did not provide longer protection than a single vaccination. They also wrote that we found that in those with prior infections, not only were antibody peak levels higher for all 3 vaccines compared to those without prior infection by 200 to 400 BAU per milliliter, showing a substantial boosting effect of prior infection, supporting sustained protection from a single dose in previously infected individuals. Another significant result, I believe, a single dose will provide sustained protection if you've been infected. And finally, I wanted to show you this little paragraph here. The authors wrote that if a single vaccination invokes effective protection following prior infection, changing vaccine prioritization as an interim measure may deliver higher population-level immunity faster and make vaccination programs more affordable. So the results of this study seem to indicate that a single vaccination may be also effective in some situations if you have been infected before. So thanks a lot for your support, for watching these videos, for commenting, for subscribing to the channel. The more people will watch these videos, like them, comment and subscribe, the more we can grow this channel and we can bring you more scientific, factual, unbiased data to inform everyone about the results from the science, directly from the science, not filtered through the media or through any kind of biased opinion. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks a lot again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more videos very soon. And also don't forget to go to the SteinbridgeScientific.com website where you can find a lot more very, very useful information on COVID-19, the vaccines, vitamin D, and a lot of other topics. Check it out. There's a lot of very useful information, and you can also watch the videos directly there. There are links to the videos, and you can also comment directly on the website. So, that being said, I'll see you in the next video.